Recording. Let me start again now. So welcome back to Jawaballs Live. This is Season 2, Episode 4. And what I want to talk about today is two things. First of all, my Tau and my performance at Mechanicon. Let me lower the camera a bit because it's too high. My son was playing with the camera. So, this past weekend at Mechanicon, a grand tournament on the East Coast in East Brunswick, New Jersey, and I played my 1850 point Tau army, and I didn't do very hot. My list is not really optimized to be Tau brutal. Basically, it's balanced and it's kind of fair. And I played against a couple of really brutal tournament lists. One was a list that had a Tau list that had 4 broadsides and 4 Skyfire missile tanks, and it had a Shava and a named broadside, a named Riptide from the Farsight Codex. It tabled me in like 2 turns. It was really, really unfun to play against. So I got a good dose of what Tau feels like to play against. Yeah, the Skyray missile defense gunships are pretty awesome. I have 1 in my list. He had 4, and I mean, it was just so. It kind of it bothered me a bit because my opponent was, from the very start, I was like, let's just play. You're gonna crush me. And he was like, I guess he was probably a new player, and this is something that we said about new players. He was a nice guy in general, but he kept nitpicking the littlest things like cover saves and whether in line of sight and all that. And it was so unnecessary because he was brutalizing me, and he was doing cheesy things like turning the turret on the Skyray. Here's the Skyray, right? And the missiles are supposed to be fixed under the bottom of the rack here, pointing towards you, right? And so when missiles are fixed to a turret or onto a hull, they only fire in that one direction. That's why you fix them to a turret so the turret can turn. So he had his tank facing like this way. Then he would turn the turret this way, so that they were firing down the side of the turret to eliminate any cover saves that the side would offer. If you follow what I'm saying, I would look at him when he was doing this, and I'm like, really? He's like, oh, is this cheesy? Am I being a douche? I was like, at that point, I just resolved myself to find a happy place and let the game play on. I gotta say, that particular game was the most unfun game of 40K I've ever played. And that's, he wasn't a really bad dude, but the game itself was no fun at all. And, catching up on the chat here. So the point of it is that what I want to make with that, if you're a new player going to a tournament, be cool. Don't, I know it's tempting to want to nitpick and hard nose the rules, but just kind of go with the flow. It all works out in the end. This guy it was just a complete tabling in like 2 turns. And the thing is, it got me set off I had 5 games to play, and it really set off the whole tournament in a bad flavor. But then I played the next game. I played against a friend of mine, had his son, who was like 22 years old, and I turned around and tabled him. And but the thing is that he knew what was about to happen, and he embraced the tabling, and and he charged into my guns. It's a little different. With the first guy, I got to a point where I was just running my guys out into the open and setting them up into a circle, like a bunch, so he just blast them off the table so I could be done with the game. And even then, the guy was nitpicking. But aside from that, I went 2 and 3 on the weekend out of 5 games. I won 2 big games, big wins for me. I tabled my opponents, and I lost 3 games. And one of my wins or one of my losses was very, very close. It could have gone either way. It just happened to not fall my way. Two of my losses were I got tabled, and two were huge victories for me. So I guess my army did right down the middle even. It was not too good, not too bad. My list is certainly not abusive in any way, and everyone I played against agreed that I brought a very fair list to the tournament. Well, that made me feel happy, except for my last game, and this is where I felt really bad because in my last opponent, I he was in the same situation that I was in the first game, where he said to me this was really not a fun game of 40K for him, and that made me feel really bad. It wasn't, but I was doing everything in my power to make the game fun. First of all, though, and it wasn't about me playing like a douchebag, because that wasn't the case. The thing is that he wanted to play his army a specific way. He was playing Corn Berserkers in transports, and he wanted to play it the way it should be played, which is balls to the wall, charge, and attack. And the thing is, you can't do that against my army. My army is designed to stop that. And he did it anyway. And we talked about it before the game. And I said, you really don't want to charge into my army. You want to stay outside. It's a different way, but that's the way. That's the only way you can really play to have a chance. And instead, he charged right into my I can't read the chat because I got the viewer list up here. There. I'll talk about terrain and missions in a second. Just let me finish this trend. I want to finish at least one trend of thought here. So he charged right in, and I felt really bad, but what can I do? So I just blasted, and I guess I could have let him just get into assault and attack, and he would have wiped me off the table. But and then he would have probably had fun playing his army. But I didn't, and I destroyed him. I played. See, well, first thing I did some trickery in that I won the turn to set up and deploy and go first. So no, but I let him have it. So he went first, but we set up our objectives before that. So what I did was I set up my three objectives all really close to each other in like one terrain piece. So I'm like, yeah, pretty much that's where where the whole game's gonna happen. So he lined up all of his stuff like 24 inches away from that area. And I put them all to like one. It was the deployment zone was there was a long no man's land from corner to corner, and so that terrain piece was in like one corner of my deployment zone. So he set up all of his stuff thinking I was going to go there directly across from the deployment zone in that corner. So of course, leaving all of his objectives unattended in his back on the other side. So of course, what do? I set up in the opposite corner of my deployment zone. He's like, oh no. And which gave me like 4 feet of distance between him instead of just 2. That was a huge difference because he had a Vindicator and stuff. So I was like the Tower Masters of ambush and trickery. So which they are. That's falling back and dispersing and counterattack is what the tower meant to do. So. But knowing he's going to be coming down, knowing his line of attack, I set up my stealth suits, like hidden behind terrain, so they could jump out and use the fusion gun on his Land Raider. And it all worked perfectly. It was the perfect trap. I set up my missile tank off to the side, flanking, so that when he turned to come at me, I'd have side shots. And I set up Pathfinders along the way to put down marker lights. So it was a perfect storm of Tau fun. And he didn't really care for it too much. The game was over fairly well, but it didn't have to go that way because he had other options. He had plenty of line of sight blocking terrain where he could have gotten out of the line of sight of my big guns, and he could have just kind of hung out back there on his side of the board, sat on his 3 objectives, held his objectives, and then kind of tried to pick away at my troops because I didn't really have the long range firepower to take him down. So he could have stayed outside of my destructive range, which was 36 inches, and whittled my troops away. But he didn't do that, but that's the problem. He ran right down my throat against my advice, and but the point is that I still felt horrible for him not having a fun game. I was talking about not wanting to face some cheesy list on my last game because I wanted to finish the tournament on a good note, and then that poor guy ended up doing exactly what I didn't want to do, getting crushed by a list, and the end result here in this is that I think I pretty much decided that I'm done with Tau. I don't really care for how to play them. I don't really care for sitting back and shooting. I like playing assault, and I like aggression. I like moving and shooting, and I don't like being considered. I'll never. I've won Best Sportsman before, but I'll never win a Best Sportsman award with this Tau army, and that bothers me. So anyway, let me answer some questions here. How was the terrain? The Mechanicon terrain is a little sparse, but every piece is handmade by the guys and constructed well out of wood. It looks great. Not every piece. There's some they use some standard GW terrain, but there's great terrain pieces on the tables at Mechanicon, and they use gun emplacements like like the las cannons and the auto cannon turrets behind the Aegis. So they put Aegis. Oh, I'll get to that, dude, in a second. If Tower out, what's next? You'll see in about a minute and a half. So they place on the table anti-air stuff for those to give maybe if you're lucky to get a table that has one a chance against the flyers and stuff. No Eldar. I faced an Eldar army and got crushed. He had a Seer Council that's just oblivious, impervious to attack. You can't kill the Seer Council once they get rolling. So the terrain, it's nice. The tables are really nice. They're really professionally made, handmade tables. So they're building up on on what they have for the terrain. So they're getting there. No orcs, definitely no space wolves. God no. Keep guessing. So I guess I'll answer the question. What am I playing next? My first mini wargaming show was about these guys. My gaming table is a mess. And my workstation. In fact, I've been working on this particular model for over a year. I forget how long it's been since I actually started this model. Lamenters. Here we are. So, this is my Lamenter Storm Raven. And, I pulled it back out. It's time. For this particular model, I sprayed it white first, and then I did some airbrushing to get some with some brown and some yellow to create the look here for the base coat. And here, my trusty pen, my Micron pen for the lines. And in here, yep, the checkerboard. That's hand painted using a brush. So if you can see what I have here. The checks are as good as I can make them. When you see yes, using allies. When you see Lamenters, a lot of times guys try to hand paint the checks, but they end up not even. These are every one of them is just about a quarter inch square. One or two might be off a bit, but I think I'm pretty proud of getting the checks even. How do I get the lines perfectly straight? Well, this is where being a painter comes in. I'm an artist, and this is what I do. Right? Here's how I did it. I know you might think that I'm lying, but every one of these squares was hand painted with a paintbrush. Um, it takes a steady hand and a lot of patience. I laid the lines out with a ruler first to use as a guide, but then I filled it in with each one of them. I sprayed it gray first, so I painted it gray, and then painted with white and black on top of the gray. As far as tips, I don't know. I mean, the way I did it is really hard to do, and I don't really know how to give a tip on reproducing this look. I'm trying to find a faster way of doing this. That's why I only have one side done, because it took me so long. The ruler. Where's my ruler that I use? I can't find it right now, but I have a short little 6-inch metal ruler that's precise and right to the edges. And I laid out the grid starting up here. Starting here in the corner, I laid out my 1/4 inch grid, and then worked my way down, one row at a time, cutting off a little bit as I went. I guess there's some spots here where you kind of have to fudge it and guess where the line should be to make it look right. I'll pull out a few more of my lamenters for you. I know I've shown this model a bunch. This is a sanguinary priest on a bike. I miss my old camera. I used to have a remote control. Sanguinary priest on a Space Marine bike. He's got a little open box on the back of the bike here, because the lamenters have bad luck, and the open box is going to be his sanguinary grail dropping out of the box and bouncing on the ground behind him. The question is, why do I have a sanguinary priest with a power fist on a bike? That's got to be like 120 some points. Sure is. Why not? Because it's cool. That's why. It's a cool looking model. And I wanted a priest on a bike, okay? But, what else do I have here for you to look at? I have a couple of assault marines. I have Death Company, which I'm going white with. My Death Company are going to be white. Yeah, that's the freehand. I'm looking for my... There he is. Oh, this is one of the honor guard. Fairly proud of his little sash on the front. Trying to get some shading on the white for his sash. Hopefully you can see the effect there. I have a couple more I want to show you. Don't know where they are. Here's one of my stern guard. Here's another stern guard. All of my shoulder pads are hand painted, and the checkers, of course. Well, darn, I can't find him. He's not here in my. He's not here in this tray. I've got a. Where did he go? He's got to be somewhere. Well, anyway, I've got a standard bearer that's pretty close. That's done, and this is my banner. Thanks for all the compliments, guys. I really appreciate it. This is time consuming, to say the least. It's killing me that I can't find it. You know, especially with the way I do yellow, because like here's one of my rhinos. Just got the base coating done, and you know, this takes a long time. It's killing me that I cannot find that model. Here's a Forge World model that I'm using as a sanguinary priest. I know he's here somewhere. I'm going to find him. I know you're here someplace. Here's my one of my death company. This is the guy I actually painted for my how to paint video. Aha. He's not finished yet. I thought he was done, but he's not. This is the standard bearer. It's show and tell time. Is that all I have from this army that's done? I think it is. Alright, so anyway. This army has been sitting on the back burner for over a year because here's my poor librarian who's just falling apart on me. Because other stuff keeps popping up, and the Blood Angels Codex became so terrible. Bye, mini girl. See you next time. She can only stay till 7:30. I'll have to do a private viewing for mini girl. So how am I going to make this stand out from all of the other lamenters? Because you see one or two per tournament, and the first way is precision, which is one of my abilities. I have the ability to make my checks all perfectly square, which you don't really see in most of the other guys' lamenters. But also though, I want to do some kind of fading with the gray, like the white. I want the white to be brighter at the top, and as I go down, I want them to get darker, maybe with some fading in the background. So I need to figure out how to do that. As far as my list is concerned, I don't really have any idea what my list is going to be yet at this point. I plan on. I want to make a Blood Angels list because I want Furioso Dreadnoughts. Yeah, and someone commented on my workspace for you guys watching this on YouTube, and it's organized. I know where everything is on this table, believe it or not. And when I want to find something, I know right where to reach to get it. So I hate it when my wife comes in here and starts moving things around because things get messed up from where I know where it is. So and I want an element of the bad luck, which is where he comes in. With the cup falling out of his box, and I want to make I want to have plasma pistols overheating, and just guys dropping guns. So there it is. The next step, I'm going to try and bust these things out unit by unit now. And the next group next thing I want to finish is my Storm Raven here, because this is the one thing that I'm sure is going to be along with my priest on a bike. He absolutely is going to be here in this list, and I don't know exactly how he's going to be here, but in what form, whether it's going to be a Blood Angels or Space Marine. How large is the army now? How much do I have? Well, here's one tray of base coated models. Some of them have been partially painted. I've got another tray here. These are the Death Company and some more Assault Marines. So, at least 2,000 points. Here's yet another priest that I have. Oh no, his cup is broken. How did that happen? How did your cup get broken? I got these little chalices from some company, and I put the chalices in the hands of the priests. But the bottom of his chalice broke off. I have to see if I can find it, hopefully in one of the transport tray slots. I hope I can find your cup piece. So when I build an army, I build 2,000 points, give or take. And usually I try to build a little bit of everything in the army. To show variety. What is the fluff of my army? Well, Lamenters. In Forge World Imperial Armor 9, they cover the Badab War, and the Lamenters are featured in that book. Basically, if you don't know what the Badab War is, it was a war fought where a couple of loyalist chapters, this is after the heresy, a couple of loyalist chapters became a little disgruntled because of their competitive level with other chapters. But at the same time, they fell under one of those chapters, which was the leader of this kind of subgroup, fell under the influence of chaos, and no one figured it out. So all of these guys who were a little disgruntled with the competition level and stuff, fell under the influence of chaos, and they were convinced to kind of secede and kind of attack and take part of the Imperium on their own. I'm kind of paraphrasing everything. So the Imperium had to send in like everybody to put down this army. So it became Space Marines versus Space Marines, and the Lamenters were part of it. They were on the losing side, and in this particular case, they sent in the Minotaurs. The Lamenters are a fleet-based chapter, so they sent in the Minotaurs Space Marine chapter, whose specialty is ship-to-ship combat, boarding tactics, and they infiltrated the Lamenters battle barge and took them down. So, and after the Badab War, they were sent off into the warp on a like 100-year mission. Where they weren't allowed to really reinforce themselves, and if the chapter survived the mission of penitence, they would be allowed to come back and become a loyal chapter again. So the thing with the Lamenters is that they're from the 21st founding, which is considered a cursed founding, and because all the chapters that were made that in this founding had some kind of issue, and in the case of the Lamenters, it's bad luck, and they've had a lot of instances where they had a sure victory fall apart because of just unfortunate circumstance. So that's kind of the idea behind them. They're a staunchly loyalist Space Marine chapter, but they've just always kind of fallen into bad luck. Yeah, after their penitent crusade, they charged right into High Fleet Kraken, which to show that they were worthy, and I think only 3 chapters survived, or three companies survived. So I love the idea of the fun bad luck bits that you can do. This guy, his entire purpose in my army is just to have that cup falling out of the back of his bike, because when it comes to winning best painted, you need little bits like that to impress the judges, and that's really the point behind this army. It's not going to be all that competitive. I want to compete for best painted. So, it's going to be mostly assault marines. It's going to have the Storm Raven, a couple of dreadnoughts, a couple of drop pods, some Stern Guard. And we'll see how it goes. As of right now, I'm going to focus on the new Space Marine Codex for this list. But thankfully, most of what I build will be able to be used as Blood Angels too when they eventually do release a new Blood Angels Codex, and I'm hoping that happens sometime soon. I was reading rumors that Imperial Guard are due out in March of 2014. So if Tyranids happen in January and IG happens in March, I think the soonest we're going to get from a Blood Angels Codex is May or June of next year, which is a long time to wait. But frankly, I don't know how good it's going to be anyway, because 6th edition again is kind of crushing the assault. They would need some way of counteracting some of the nastiness that exists out there, like the Thunder, or like the here's the question. What do I think about the big new Space Marine suits, the Centurions? I've got a box set of them. I'm gonna probably paint them as lamenters, and I don't know if they're all that good. They're just big, bulky space marines. They don't even have invulnerable save, so against Tau, they're just dead. A single Riptide shot will kill the whole squad. So I don't know how good they are because they've only, the longest range I think that they have is 36 inches. I'm not sure what they have for weapons. It says the Blood Angels have an updated electronic codex coming out. Yeah, but it's not updated. It's only got a couple of minor updates. It's not even worth getting. That'll be one that I print. The new updated Blood Angels codex. I was talking to a guy that actually paid for it, and he said that there were just a couple of minor changes in there. Like he heard that they had updated Dante's power axe to be full initiative, so he got it. Yeah, they need to get that one out there because the Blood Angels, they're no, every person has a case for why their codex needs to be updated. But I think that the Blood Angels definitely need the update because they have their own model line as far as Space Marines go, so they really need to get it going. What else am I going to have in that army? Well, I'm going to add some Imperial Guard. I've got some of these sitting around, if you know what these are. Thud guns. These guns put down a pounding. Orcs need it more, huh? I contend that that is not accurate because the Orc Codex is still very competitive. You can put in a tournament list 1850. Well, they had a 5th edition Codex release. And they you can put down 200 orcs into a big list, and they're going to give Tau fits because no matter what, even if the Tau kill 100 of them, there's still going to be 100 orcs that reach the lines. So good luck. In a competitive way, I would really fear orcs, especially when you got a couple of hundred orcs with shooters just marching and shooting, dying. But even then, 30 orc boys assault a Riptide. The Riptide's gonna die. So as far as the guard models that I'm using, I've shown you these guys already. I've got these Eisenkern Stormtrooper models, which are slightly bigger than IG standard, but that's okay. So I'm going to use them as my Imperial Guard allies. Yeah, that's what I'm going to use. I have thud guns, 3 thud guns, and I have a Vendetta, and I'm gonna just use the rest of I'm gonna use 30 or 40 IG models to go along with it. So just to add some extra firepower that the Blood Angels sorely miss, and make it a little more interesting. So a Storm Raven, the Dreadnought, some Assault Marines, Death Company, a couple of Bikers, and an Infantry Company with Thud guns, and a Vendetta. And that's going to be my list. I'm planning on playing this list at TempleCon in February 5th and 6th. So yeah, it's not a list made for Uber cheese, that's for sure. It's just one single Vendetta. It's gonna fly out, shoot off a couple of shots, then eat up a lot of shots, then die. Whatever. It's for the looks. I want to have I want to have this and the Vendetta kind of balancing each other out on my display board. As far as my display board is concerned, I want to make my Dreadnought so that I want to try and add some lights so that he's getting fixed by some servitors. You know, you've seen this a few times on people's display boards. And, you know, I have the whole display board planned out. So I'm kind of excited about that too. Yeah, they're Lamenters, Mac. If you're just popping in now, these are my Blood Angels Lamenters. Yeah, I'm making a Lamenters list. Uh-oh. What you want, Mommy? Get your broom out of here. Right off in your broom, you witch. Ah.
Clean up this office.
Get out of here. Oh, it's not ugly. I think the Storm Raven is a fantastic model. That's enough out of you guys. All right, but I gotta wrap it up because she just gave me the secret message that I'm done for the night. So thanks for popping in as always. I really appreciate the support, and I'm doing my best to get these uploaded as quickly as possible to YouTube and to Mini Wargaming. So go there and check them out again. And all right, signing off until next week. Bye bye.